All right, everybody, we're back again to talk about scary movies. And I think we're going to call this What's Your Favorite Scary Movie? Because that was the idea you had for this, right,
Yes.
Kim?
Yes. I don't know. It's a great question. What's your favorite scary movie? But then the horror nerd in me is like, but let's take it a step further. And the teacher in me is like, let's create a short answer test and ask what.
Are we going to do a group activity?
This is like a collaboration. This is a group project. We're doing like a group presentation about our answers because I feel like we've probably talked a lot about this in our discussions of other movies. So I thought it would be cool to just really hone in on like our favorites, the ones we thought were underrated, overrated, and then sort of get into like some character pairings and like who would you fight and who would you fight with? And I don't know. I'm a nerd and that's what I like to do. And that's what I think about.
We're developing. This could be the start of a horror movie course that we develop. You know, that could be a thing.
I mean, if they want to pay me.
Well, actually, we can chat about this afterwards, but CT has a process for this whole thing. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We can talk about that.
It won't transfer. It's fine.
Yeah, it won't transfer. But you'll have a lot of fun in the process. And maybe be scared. I don't know. We'll see. So what should we jump in with here?
The first question, what is your favorite scary movie?
Okay. Do you want me to go first?
Yes.
It's the original Halloween. Like that's to me, like that's whose?
That's Matt's.
Oh, Matt's, yeah. So
yeah.
To me, I think it's one of those movies that's kind of timeless. Like it still holds up really well. It's still super creepy. It set the precedent for slashers that, in a lot of different ways. I mean, there was some stuff before that, obviously, like Psycho, all that kind of thing. But it really set, I think, the precedent for the modern slasher. But I have another one that I hold in equally high regard. Am I allowed to have two, or should it just be one?
Well, you can say your other one, and then I'll have a follow-up.
Okay, so my other one is The Thing from the 80s, the Kurt Russell, and which, again, these are two John Carpenter movies, both of these movies. So clearly I enjoy his brand of horror.
I mean, I'm a Wes Craven person, so like,
So now I'll flip this around. What is your favorite?
Yet because I have a follow-up. So,
okay.
But and you kind of already answered it because I very much toggle between two.
Okay.
But I hate when people do that. And so you have to pick one. And you kind of already did. You kind of already picked Halloween. But I frame it as like, if the universe said you can only watch one of these movies for the rest of your life, I assume you would pick Halloween.
Gosh, that actually is that's tough.
You can never watch the other one again.
I think that it would probably still be Halloween, but that would be tough. But because with The Thing, it's all about like isolation, and so like if I could only ever watch one movie again, it kind of fits with that whole scenario.
Yeah, a little bit. Want to watch a movie about that? Like that?
Maybe it's such a well-made movie and so amazing. And not to go off on too far of a tangent, but Kim and I were talking a minute ago, and I watched the 2011 The Thing last night, which is a prequel to the 80s The Thing. And it was not good. I was not impressed with it. It's on Netflix. It pretty much did. Anyway, it was not good. Go ahead.
And so funny story about how I saw The Thing for the first time. I was working at Princeton Summer Theater one summer, and I was in charge of ad sales. So I had to go around to all the local businesses and try to get them to give us money in exchange for like buying ad space. And I went to this restaurant that was owned by this super weird old guy. He was so cool, but like total weirdo. And he like brought me up into his office and we just sat there and talked about movies and like scary movies. And then he was like listing all these movies I had to see. And The Thing was one of them. He was like, you've got to watch The Thing. And I was like, okay, I will. And I think that was back when I still got DVDs from Netflix. And so,
which they're going to stop doing that in a couple of months, by the way. Like
I didn't know they still did that.
They still did it, but they're finally stopping it after all this time.
I thought they had. Anyway, so that's why I watched that movie, because creepy old man in Princeton told me I should. And he was right. He was right. It was a
Did you love it?
I did. I really liked it. So
I just think, that was my issue with the 2011 version, is that it really relies heavily on CGI as opposed to like the practical effects that are so amazing in the original. And I think because they had the freedom to use CGI, it just made it not look convincing. They relied on it way too much. The story was basically exactly the same as the 80s one. Like it was because it was, I don't know if you remember how the 80s one starts, but it starts with that dog running away.
Yes.
So this movie ends with that happening, right? So like it's the Norwegians in their research camp when they first find the alien and thaw it out, because of course they do that whole thing. So
of course.
Yeah.
So
anyway, yes.
Okay. And I don't think it's any surprise that my favorite scary, well, my top two favorite scary movies that I toggle between are A Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream. And I was like, how do I choose? How do I choose? I love Freddy so much, and Scream has disappointed me so much lately. But I still think if I could only watch one for the rest of my life, it would be Scream.
Okay.
So I'm going to say Scream is my favorite scary movie.
What is it about Scream that you think makes it more watchable over just like an infinite timeline as opposed to Nightmare on Elm Street?
Because of the film references, because it speaks to that film buff in me that like loves the references and the callbacks and things like that. So I enjoyed that part of the movie.
That is, I mean, if you're just tuning into our channel, we just reviewed every Scream movie, but that is one of the things that I also love is just sort of the self-referential nature of the genre that's within it. So
if you're a fan, you're gonna pick up on a lot of that stuff, and it's fun. It's like you feel like you're in this little club with the people who write it, and it's fun to do that. So
except when they get to part 6 and they start talking about now we're a franchise or what. Anyway, we've already dove into that with a ton of detail, but
so I'm gonna say Scream is my favorite movie.
So that is funny. So for you, 2 Wes Craven movies, for me, 2 John Carpenter movies.
And I would say that like a lot of the horror movies I have enjoyed the most have been Wes Craven.
Okay. Yeah. I like Wes Craven movies. Did you ever see Red Eye?
Yeah.
That was one that, so I know we're going to do underrated stuff, and I'm not really sure it's a horror movie, but I think that one, no pun intended, flies under the radar. It's an airplane movie, but it does fly under the radar, I think, and is actually pretty awesome. I haven't seen it in a while, but I really like that movie.
Yeah, I remember it being really good. It's very intense.
Yeah, it's a good one. And honestly, the original Nightmare on Elm Street, I probably haven't seen that in like 10 years. It's been a long time. I need to rewatch it at some point.
I've seen it semi-recently. I was thinking about rewatching it for my birthday, and then I went. I actually watched Urban Legend Final Cut.
Is that a sequel or like a special?
It's a sequel to Urban Legend that I really enjoyed, and I watched that for my birthday.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen Urban Legend. I don't think I have.
That is a perfect transition into what we believe are the most underrated.
Okay. So do you think Urban Legend is?
I think Urban Legend is a great horror film.
And I'm making a note so I can go back and watch it later. Which is it on? Is it like on Netflix or anything?
I have no idea.
Okay.
No idea. But I love it. And I love it especially because my best friend loves it. And she's not like a horror movie person, but she loves that movie. And the reason I like Urban Legend Final Cut is because it takes place at a film school. So I always like things that take place with film or have film references. But Urban Legend, the original, is just like obviously somebody killing people based off of urban legends.
So like Mothman is, I mean, like when they say urban legends, is
like Pop Rocks and soda and
the head explodes or something, I would assume.
Yeah. Well, they play on like in the Hook Man, his hook they find in the car, and like the babysitter's calling you from inside the house, like those types of urban legends that, and not oddly enough, but it's fine. I just realized Robert Englund is in Urban Legend.
Oh, is he?
He doesn't play the bad. I won't spoil.
So when we talk about underrated movies, are we just talking about one that stands out, or just like generally?
I have 2.
Okay, I've got like a bunch floating around here.
You just have 3.
Okay.
Are you going to count Red Eye as one of them, or that was just like a quick?
That doesn't count.
Okay, that doesn't count. All right, you get 3.
The reason I was asking, and I'm not going to say this was underrated, but I just thought about how much I like New Nightmare, and like I think that movie also is under the radar for a lot of people.
That was my other option for my birthday.
Really? Yeah.
Because I do really enjoy that as well.
I remember seeing that. I think it might have been in college. Like I rented it with a roommate and saw it, from a local video store or whatever, but we both were like, this is amazing. Like, it was just really well done. The meta, that was like, that's got to be one of the first meta kind of horror movie types of things. And that, like, it's
I would
talking
think
about a Nightmare on
so.
Elm Street, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I would think so. So I like that, and I like Dream Warriors. Those are my favorite
I'm
in the
trying to remember. I know I've seen it. I just can't remember which one Dream Warriors was, but
Dream Warriors. That was my ringtone for a while.
it's not anymore. Did you change it?
No, that was back in college.
Do people even
I
have
for sure.
ringtones now? I guess they do. I don't
I
know.
don't know. I don't have a ringtone. My phone never rings. So
Yeah,
no.
I have it on silent all the time.
Yep.
Anyway. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So underrated. What do you think?
Okay, so there's one for me called The Void. Have you ever seen The Void before?
No.
Super weird, super creepy. For a long time it was on Netflix. I don't know if it is now
Okay.
or not, but it came out, gosh, I would say 5, 6, 7 years ago, something like that. But it is just a very kind of 80s era ish, really uses a lot of practical effects, kind of like a HP Lovecraft type of thing. It
Yeah.
takes place in this hospital where this cult kind of opens up this dimension to another universe, and like these horrible creatures come out of it, and it's just super weird and just it's kind of hard to explain the plot, but there was just something really mesmerizing about it. And I think,
Hmm.
I mean, if you're watching this and you're a horror fan, you've probably heard of The Void, but at the same time, I don't know how many people have actually gone and watched it, but it's totally worth a watch.
Okay.
I would love to hear what you think about it, Kim. You might
Okay.
hate it, but you might love it. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. The Void. I wrote it down.
Yeah.
So I'll find some time.
Am
What
I
else?
okay? So you're gonna laugh. This is not. I don't know if this is really a horror movie. I don't think it is. The Burbs with Tom Hanks. Have you ever seen The Burbs?
No, but I'm
Oh
thinking
my
of
gosh, you've never seen. You would love The Burbs. I feel like you would love this movie. You've never heard of it? Have you heard
I've
of
heard
it?
of it. I've heard of it. I've
It's,
seen it like listed places. I've just never watched
I mean,
it.
honestly, it's really a comedy, but it has horror elements to it.
Okay.
It's just one of those
Is it like a
movies that
Stepford Wives type thing? That's what the title makes me think of.
no, basically, he suspects that his next door neighbor is a murderer, and
Oh, okay.
it's kind of a comedy of like he's trying to
Ooh.
prove it, but every
Like
step
Disturbia, but funnier.
but funnier, yeah. And like the whole time,
Okay.
everybody's like, "You're crazy. This guy's not a murderer," and it's just funny how the whole thing like
I bet
unravels. But it
it is.
also has some kind of creepy moments in it here and there. But it's more of a comedy than actually a horror movie, so I don't know if it really
Okay.
counts. The
You
other
get
one
half
for
credit.
me,
You get half credit for that
I get
one.
half credit. Okay. The other one for me, and I don't know if this one's really underrated or not, because it just got a sequel that I have not seen yet, but Terrifier. Have you seen that one?
Mm-mm.
That one is super unsettling. That the first, I've heard the second one's even worse, but it's about this slasher. His name is Art the Clown. It's a Halloween night. This guy just wears like clown makeup. He sees these two young women at a diner and he starts stalking them. And it is just grotesque. Like it is just one of those things that you watch, you're like, oh my gosh, by the time you get over with it, it's really well made. And you can tell it's one of those things that was made with like a shoestring budget, like
Yeah.
not a lot of money, but it's good. It's really good. So
Okay.
I think a lot of people see it because it was on Netflix for a long time, and the cover for it is
Okay.
just the clown's face. And when you see it, it just looks cheap and not good, but like it's actually a
Okay.
really good horror movie.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Terrifying. All right.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Well, I said Urban Legend. I
Okay,
still think Urban Legend is so good.
okay.
And the other movie that I feel like is underrated is 13 Ghosts.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I like that movie.
I love 13 Ghosts. And I told Matt, and he's like, I think you love that movie too much. Like, I think you like, he's like, I don't agree that that movie is underrated. He's like, I think it's adequately rated. Like, I don't, and I was like, no, I love 13
And
Ghosts.
just to make sure I'm thinking of the right movie, it takes place in a house, and this guy basically has the ghost like in his basement, right? Like and yeah, and you have to wear special glasses to see
Yep.
the ghost. Yeah,
Yep.
okay, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And it's got Matthew Lillard. And when you have a horror movie with Matthew Lillard, you know it's going to
And
be
you're
amazing.
you're in good standing at that point.
Exactly. Exactly. And I just think it's so inventive and all the different ghosts and their background. It just, I don't know. And maybe because I saw it at a very like formative time in my life, I remember the ninth grade birthday party in Brittany's basement where we watched 13 Ghosts and I got back together with my boyfriend. But like, it's a great movie.
It just stands out, right?
It
Yeah,
does.
for
I
some reason,
love it.
I think this. So whenever I hear 13 Ghosts, for some reason, I automatically think of Ghost Ship. Also, which have you seen Ghost Ship?
I have seen Ghost Ship. I actually almost watched Ghost Ship the other day because it's
Yeah,
on HBO and I was just looking for something to kind of watch and have on. and I don't even remember what I ended up watching.
Well, it's got, if you remember, it's got one of the best openings ever.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Like on that, the whole The Wire and everything. Like,
Yes,
yeah.
that's a good movie. I like Ghost Ship
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. And I don't know if they came out around the same time, but for some reason, I just constantly think of those in tandem with one another. I don't know why, but
And it
yeah.
makes me also think of, and I think I've mentioned this before, Stir of Echoes with Kevin
Kevin
Bacon.
Bacon.
Yeah, is one that I just feel it's underrated in the sense I don't think a lot of people have seen it. I think
Okay.
people see Urban Legend and 13 Ghosts and might not like it or appreciate it as much as they should. I think anybody who sees Stir of Echoes would know it's great. I just don't think a lot of people know that it's out there.
Yeah, I've seen that, and because it came out like late '90s, maybe. Does that sound right?
Maybe a little later than that. I don't
Maybe,
know. I
but
wasn't that
to the
young.
Google machine. Hang on, let's
You
see.
know.
I did like it. It's been forever. Oh, another one I just thought of, but I can't have any more. Sorry, I thought of another one that's
Fine, bonus round, go.
What Lies Beneath. Have you ever seen
That
that?
is so good. I was
It's,
thinking about that. I was
it is an
scrolling through
amazing movie.
HBO and I was like, should I mention What Lies Beneath? And then I was like, no, I won't. They'll judge me. But yeah,
Well, you know what? So Stir of Echoes was '99. That's when it came out.
I thought it was later than that. Okay.
What I think I like about Stir of Echoes is the turn toward the end, and just because you don't ever see Harrison Ford in a role like that, really, where he's like, and not to spoil it, but he's legit a bad guy. So,
Wait a second. I don't think we're talking about the same movie.
are you thinking of a different movie? What Lies Beneath?
Oh, you switched to What Lies Beneath. Oh, I thought we were still talking about
Sorry. Yeah, I'm all over the place.
Yes. Yes.
What was I just talking about before that? I can't even remember now.
Stir of Echoes?
So yeah, just the year it came out. Sorry.
Yes.
So I was still
Okay. And
thinking
then
about What Lies
period.
Beneath. Yeah.
Okay. I get it now.
Yeah.
So we got to build those transitions. Okay.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
to connect your ideas. Jeez. Okay. But yes, I do think that is a turn. And I like how they play around. I appreciate. I like movies that play with women hysteria and kind of build on like how quick people are to assume a woman is crazy when no, there's a legit ghost haunting her.
Right.
Okay, people, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's all of my underrated stuff.
Okay.
You only had one, didn't you? Or did you give me two? You gave me Urban Legends and
Urban
13
Legend
Ghosts.
and 13 Ghosts,
Okay.
but I agree. And I technically said Stir of Echoes, and I agree with What Lies Beneath. Okay.
Okay.
Now, Overrated.
Okay. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. I really only have one that comes to mind.
Okay.
Because I had such a visceral reaction to seeing this movie and going, really, people? The Witch.
I have not seen that, but everybody has been like, you've got to see The Witch, and I have not seen it yet. So you think it's way overrated? As I can tell as you stare to the camera, yes.
Yes. I am sorry that I wasted time in my life watching that movie.
Okay.
And I'm the only, now Matt agrees with me, but we're the only people I know that feel that way. I talk to like students sometimes about horror movies and they're like, oh, The Witch. And I'm like, that movie was dumb and I hated it. But
when is that movie set? Is it set during like the Salem witch trials era?
No, it's I don't know what time period, but it is set in like them olden days or whatever. And
Ye olden
times.
Yeah.
And the family moves out to the woods to live or whatever. And then there's suspicions of witchcraft stuff.
Okay. That seems very general witchy kind of thing. Is that, I don't know.
So
it's not scary
in my opinion, no.
Okay.
It was dumb and boring. And I know there's probably a lot of people right now that are like, blasphemous. How dare you?
Well, I mean, I told you our Scream 6 review generated not bad, but all kinds of feedback. But what I found out is a lot of people feel like we do about it. Like they hate that movie. So
good, because I would also add Scream 6 to that.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of people really liked Scream 6. And I have no idea why. And my sister finally saw it the other night. And I'm so glad she was like, what a bunch of crap. Like
so she hated it too. Okay.
She hated it too. And I was like, thank God that she agrees. Because yes. So okay. So that's what I would say. The Witch and Scream 6.
Okay. Okay, so the only one movie came to mind for me, and I don't know that overrated is actually the right word for it, but people talk about it a lot. The Human Centipede. Have you ever seen the Human Centipede?
I have seen.
It's something, right?
It Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm. It's
that
something.
I've seen that one, the second one, but not the third one,
Oh,
and
I've not seen any of the others. I
the
think I
second
know
one is
someone who
like
was in, like, the 3rd one
oh, really?
as, like, an extra.
I'm scared to ask if they were part of the
No, no,
train of
they were like
people.
an extra. No, no,
Okay, that's
no,
good.
no, no.
So with me, like everybody talks about this movie as if it's just one of those like I don't know iconic horror things, which like it to me it's just gross. Like it's just
Yeah,
schlocky. Like I don't. It's not scary. It's just like somebody had an idea of like what if we did this, and that's as far as they went with thinking about a plot for a movie, and
yes.
like and that's it.
It's
You know?
very much shock and awe.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's hard because I agree with you that it is. I think people give it this weight that it doesn't actually have just because of how truly disturbing the image is and what that yeah, like because I'll never watch that movie again. I literally
yeah.
did.
Me either. Me
I
either.
did feel physically ill watching that
I
movie.
did
That
too.
takes a lot.
I felt worse watching the second one, because the second
Oh,
one
really?
decides, like, what if we have 100 people do this and have them in, like, a prison facility and just see what happens, and, like, it just gets, like, even worse as time goes on, and it's anyway, yeah, so I haven't seen the third one, so I guess I can't definitively say this, but I think all those movies are just they're just it's like you said, shock and awe, like, there's no substance to
Yeah.
them, they're just that's all
Yes.
they are, so
And it reminds me, have you seen Tusk?
yes.
Yes.
What did you so okay, so you think that's overrated, Tusk?
I no, I would not put that in the overrated
Okay.
because there is story. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
there
like Tusk
are.
actually. I thought that
Yes.
was a good one.
I I I I have a hard time with people turning into things against their will.
Right.
That upsets me. And so that movie really unsettled me. Don't want to say I like the movie. I'll never watch that movie again, but I don't think it's a bad movie.
Yeah, like, I appreciate the craft, I guess, behind it and all of
Yes,
that,
it was
and
very
the way it ended, I just
disturbing.
didn't I should have known it was gonna end the way it did, but, like, it just, yeah, it was crazy.
And when my sister told me to watch it, she was like, "You need to watch it, and I can't tell you anything about it." And I'm like, "What?"
So
And she's like, "Just watch it." And I did blindly, and I went into that, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And so it reminded me of Human Centipede, but better,
so
better.
this leads me to a question that I guess is a little bit of a tangent, but what does it
Go
matter, right? Like, so, what is it with Justin Long showing up in these random horror movies like Barbarian, right? Like, I mean,
Right?
yeah.
Right? Well, and I guess and because I don't know if you know this, that, like, the whole movie idea for Tusk was based on, like, a joke in, like, a
No, I didn't know
podcast.
that.
Yeah, it was like there was a podcast, and they made a joke about it or created, like, a fake story about it, and then someone wrote in like, "Oh my god, wouldn't that be crazy if that really happened?" And then they were like, "Well, let's make it a movie." Like, it has this very odd reason of why they even turned it into this movie. And Haley Joel Osment, like he's
Was
in
he? I can't
it.
even remember. Was he in it?
He's
I don't
the
even remember.
friend. He's
Okay,
the friend of his. He's not the cute little kid anymore. Sorry, Haley.
he's not Sixth
Um,
Sense era Haley Joel Osment.
no, no, like no, just
Yeah.
aged difficultly, Haley. So sorry there, Haley Joel.
Well,
Um,
yeah. So now, okay, just to kind of transition back into that. So I don't know where you would put Barbarian on your scale of like overrated, underrated, as good as it is sort of recognized. Like, what do you think? Because I really like that movie a lot. I thought it was good.
I think it's better than I would say it's more underrated because I do think it's
Okay.
better than what people might think because it's so unexpected.
Yeah.
And there is actually, again, some substance and some layers to the story. It's not just shock and awe.
Yeah.
There's a story here.
Well, there's a subtext for sure.
Oh yeah. And
Multiple.
so I appreciate that. And I always appreciate when big name people die. Like I
Yeah.
appreciate the ruthlessness. And I think that that does a nice job. And I try to do that in my own writing is kill off people you wouldn't expect.
Well, as we work on, so Kim and I are in the very early, very beginning process of thinking about a screenplay. I
You might
think.
have to die.
You mean in the screenplay, right? Just to be clear about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
For
So
any
anyway,
future
yeah.
police records, yes, just in
Okay.
the screenplay.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. But anyway, yeah, I did appreciate that movie a lot. And actually, it's funny because I tend to collect physical media. Like I like getting things on Blu-ray and
Yes.
4K Blu-ray, all that. There's a little bit of a kerfuffle in the physical media community because they have not put Barbarian on Blu-ray yet. It's only been
Wow.
released on streaming, and so people are like,
Interesting.
what? Why? Like, what's going on with that? So I would love to
Yeah.
have that movie physically, but yeah,
Huh. Yeah.
yeah.
I would
Anyway,
put that more in the underrated more than anything else.
okay, yeah.
Anything else for overrated movies?
Let me look at my list. I have some more underrated ones too, but I don't think so. That's the one that jumped out to me. What about you? Is there anything else?
No, that's why it was The Witch. And
Right.
I was going through lists and I was really thinking about it. And sure, there's movies that I don't like as much, but like when I think about movies that I'm like, oh my God, you told me to watch that. Are you serious? The Witch is the one that
Yeah.
I just can't.
Well, I'm glad you said that because again, so many people have told me to watch it, and I just
You
haven't yet.
might
So now I'm like, I don't know. Should I watch it?
you should to form your own opinion.
Yes.
You
But
should.
now I'm like, am I gonna be like, I just wasted 2 hours or however long it was?
No. I don't know. No, because
I
you'll
guess it
have
wouldn't waste it because then I learned if I liked it or not. So
you
yeah,
exactly. And I still want you to watch Spiral so that we can talk about that because
yeah,
I
yeah,
really
yeah.
need to hear somebody else's opinion.
Do you know this is completely random, but is that like are they making any more Saw movies or is that like
I
it?
have no idea.
Because we could always there's a ton of those. We could watch them all. do
I
do a
did just
marathon
watch
review.
Saw 1 and 2 recently.
Oh, I remember seeing Saw 1 in the theaters and thinking it was really good. And I mean, I've seen the other a lot. I haven't seen all the other ones. I saw like
No. I've
Saw
seen
one,
up
two,
to
three.
3. I saw up to 3. And I think I
Yeah,
saw number 2 in theaters or number 3 in theaters.
yeah.
But I definitely remember some members of our group were not technically old enough to go to an R-rated movie yet. And so this very nice older gentleman offered to pretend to be their guardian and then sat behind us and offered us popcorn.
That's slightly creepy. See, this is the plot of a horror movie. Like this is the start of something here.
We did not take the popcorn. Speaking of scary things, yeah,
Okay.
like we've talked about our favorite scary movie, but like to me, that's different than the movie that you have found to be the scariest or most traumatizing.
Yeah.
Like the movie you're like, that shook me to my core. I have nightmares.
So for me, so what I tend to respond to in that manner has to do more with like supernatural stuff. Like
Okay.
I for some reason like slasher stuff to me, I mean, while it can have jump scares and be like tense, like it's never super scary to me necessarily. But Paranormal Activity, I think we talked about that maybe
Yeah,
briefly in
yeah.
another video. Like that one to me, for some reason, I don't know if it was just like the minimalism of it.
It was
My
good.
dog jumps over here. Anyway, the minimalism of it was I don't know, it just was super unsettling to me. And I think it was the setting too, right? Because a lot of times horror movies are like in the woods or in a cabin or whatever, but this was like in a suburban home. Like just
It was like Blair Witch Project in a house.
yeah, yeah, that one was unsettling. I also thought the first Conjuring was pretty creepy, generally speaking.
That might be in my overrated category.
Oh man. Okay.
I think my family, we went to go see that together one Sunday, and all of us were like, "Really? This?"
I don't. You remember that scene where they're in the bedroom and the camera pans up and she's on top of a dresser or like a
A little bit,
bureau?
yeah.
For some reason, that like I just was not expecting it, and it just kind of caught
Yeah,
me off guard or
yeah.
whatever. But yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I'm trying to think others like really scary movies that I just was like, whoa, I can't sleep after watching this. I don't know. I don't know if I'm becoming like desensitized to horror movies, but I'm just sort of like, I don't know. Like I feel like there aren't any like legitimately scary movies that I've seen recently that I
Oh,
can think of.
definitely not recently.
I don't
Well,
know.
there was one that I saw. I mean, well, Barbarian freaked me out, but mostly because I was at my dad's house, and I don't feel comfortable at my dad's house, and
I
my
remember you
therapist.
sent me that picture of the basement and like
Yes, and don't
everything.
worry,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
therapist and I debriefed about that, but, like,
yeah.
so that unsettled me. I actually saw a movie, I think it was on Netflix, kind of recently, well, within, like, the last 4 or 5 years, called Open House.
I have not heard of
And
that one.
it was okay. I would not put it in the great movie category, but it really freaked me out
I'm looking it
because
up now.
anything, or like that Watcher series that they had, anything that's a person or something that has entered a home without someone's knowledge and is in the home and walking around in the home and people are not aware that they're there, that really freaks me out.
So was that part of why Barbarian maybe? Because like the whole idea is like,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
especially early in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that there's, you know, something is there and you don't know. And like that, yes. So that movie, again, not a great movie, but it very much, it's probably the only movie in the last 10 years, I would say, that actually scared me. And not because it was scary, but because the concept unsettled me in my home.
There, and you're making me think of a movie I saw. It had to have been like 2 years ago. It was a movie about. It was kind of like that. Like a family had moved into a house, and there was some kind of like lingering something there. God, what was the name of that movie? I thought it was actually pretty good. It was like really bizarre. It's gonna drive me crazy. I can't remember the name of it now, but it was on Shudder. I remember that. What was
Okay.
it called? I'll have to look. I'll think about it while we're talking. I don't want to
Okay.
hold up the proceedings, but so now I just looked up that movie, The Open House. So is that the one that? So the description is a teenager and his mother find themselves besieged by threatening forces when they move into a new house. Is that it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got 3.3 out of 10 on
That's why
IMDb.
it's not a great movie.
It's not a
It's
good movie.
not. No,
See.
but it's, and like I guess like you know what? It reminds me of
Is it
Paranormal
is it
Activity.
that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It's the guy
Yeah.
from 13 Reasons Why. It reminds me of Paranormal Activity in the sense of it's not a supernatural entity in the
Okay.
house, it's a human. And that's what I do find a little more upsetting as people,
Yeah.
except we all know that my most traumatizing movie is Candy, man.
What do you
Um,
say? 2 more times? Is that
Stop
it?
it! Don't even. Don't.
What about if
Okay.
I say Beetlejuice 3 times? Is that going to be bad?
Who the hell cares? But
They're making a sequel to that, by the way.
I know. I
Yeah.
know. So I would say that is super traumatizing, even though I did just watch it very recently. I faced my
What?
fears.
So why did you watch it? Because you're always talking about how like was that what it was, a face your fear kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did it
It's a
work?
good movie. It's a great
Yeah.
movie. I think so. And I was not as scared watching it during the day as a 35-year-old. I was a little bit better. But I would say The Exorcist was also pretty traumatizing.
Yeah, that I did see that. I can't remember how old I was when I saw that. I was probably a teenager, and it was a very good movie, and it legit had creepy moments. I was never like terrified, but it was definitely a well-made horror movie for sure.
Well, I was
Totally.
8.
You were 8. That's pretty young to see The Exorcist for
Yes,
sure.
it is. Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
And
Yes,
who
it is.
who did you watch that with friends or like what
Oh
was
no,
the
my parents, we all sat down on a Sunday and watched The Exorcist together.
nice Sunday family movie? Well,
Exactly. I had all my little stuffed
yeah.
animals lined up in front of me. I was naming them to distract myself from how terrified I was. And I
Is
think
that
I
where your love
told
of horror
you
films began with that experience?
it did. I mean, I saw Child's Play even younger than that. I mean, it's not where the love began because I was not loving that feeling, but that's where I
Yeah.
think it sort of began. But I just remember our house was so close to the train tracks that my bed would shake at night. And I was like, oh my God, it's the devil. I'm possessed. Like, here we go. So that was unnerving.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a fun memory.
Yeah, it
Super
was.
delightful.
Yes. You know what's even more fun now is when my mom tells my 5-year-old son to go into the bathroom and say 3 times in the mirre. And I'm like,
Are you
what?
like, why?
I traumatized him because I was like, don't you do it or he'll get you. And he was like,
How old's Owen? Is he 4,
he's
5?
5. He was 4
5?
when this happened. And
Okay.
he might have been 3. And he started crying
Yeah.
because I told him he would get you because it's true.
But you were just trying to protect him because you don't want
I
Candy
was
to
just
get
trying to
him.
protect him.
Yeah.
I'm a good mom.
Totally. Yeah, you are a good mom. Yeah. I've got a whole list of movies here. I want to see if all these movies I listed on my notes app come into play through this discussion at all. If they don't, I'm just going to start naming movies randomly and see where they
Just
fit
shouting
in.
that. Do you
Just
have
shout
any
them
other
in.
movies that traumatized you that you need to share your feelings on?
I think I may have mentioned this in a previous review we did, but the movie itself didn't traumatize me per se. But Nightmare on Elm Street, the original Nightmare on Elm Street, when I
Mm,
was maybe,
mm.
I would say like 9 or 10, I caught it on TV, which, you know, is pretty heavily edited when it's on TV, that sort of thing. But I just remember that night going to sleep, there was a shadow in our hallway that looked like the outline of Freddy's hat, and like it kept
Mm.
moving. It was like there's a tree or something, and I just laid there for, I remember like 2 hours, just like staring at this outline, like, well, this is it for me. I'm done. Like, you know, at that point.
Speaking of trees, Poltergeist is
That's on my list. It's on my list. Poltergeist. Yes.
pretty traumatizing.
Yes.
Like the idea something's in your home, like your home
And
is
I
not
think
safe.
what I think that movie does really well is it marries a lot of things effectively. Like the idea of, it's like when you see like one of those shows where they're ghost hunting and like something moves, like they kind of like do that sort of thing well, but then actually give you a good look at what the monster looks like, and it's
Yeah.
terrifying. But
And
I think
it's
also the
fun that in
idea,
the beginning they're not concerned. This is
yeah,
a cool thing. Oh my
it's
gosh.
cool. Yeah.
Look at this. Look at
Yeah.
her go across the floor. And
And
then
I think now I need to rewatch it because I think as a parent, like the idea of like literally having to go into hell to get your kids back, like that's,
Matt and I have
you
had
know,
that conversation. And
yeah.
he's like, you would be the one. He's like, yep, I 1,000%. You would go. That's probably one of our collective favorite movies in the house is Poltergeist. We
I
quote it
love that
a
movie. I
lot.
mean, have you read any of the like trivia behind that or
I mean,
anything?
a little bit. I hear about like the curses and like the stuff that's gone on and the people that have died
Yeah, but the
that
little
were in,
girl eventually did, right?
and the
Like,
sister. The sister
okay.
was like murdered by a boyfriend
Oh, yeah, that's not
years
great.
later. Yeah.
Well,
So
I mean, it was, I can't remember the director's name, but basically Spielberg was pretty heavily involved, and everybody says, like, for all intents and purposes, that Spielberg basically directed the movie, but he didn't
right.
actually get the credit for it. But like, I don't remember the whole. Because he was filming something else at the time. I think I can't remember what was going on, but
Okay.
anyway, yeah,
But
I
yes,
love that movie though.
that is also a great movie. And I'm not scared of clowns, but that clown is
Yeah. And I
that
never saw, they did a remake, I think, at one point. I never saw it. So like I don't know if it was any good because it came out, it wasn't that long ago. I'm gonna look it up
yeah.
now.
I forgot about that.
That's one that I kind of want to see just to be like, okay, I saw it, but I also know it's going to be terrible when you compare it to
Yeah.
the original. So it was 2015.
Oh,
Well, it
okay.
had Sam Rockwell in it. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. It does not have great reviews, but anyway,
Of
yeah.
course it doesn't. So then, if you had to team up with any horror hero or protagonist, who would you want to team up with?
So not an antagonist. It has to be a hero.
Yeah, like if it's you and this person and you're going against the bad guy, who would you trust by your side? That's
Okay. So my thinking would be this. Do you consider the original Alien to be a horror movie with Sigourney Weaver?
I'm not surprised you went there at all. That's your
Why are you not surprised by that?
Um, so that is your interpretation and decision to make.
Is it my interpretation decision to make about why you're not surprised or whether or not it's a horror movie?
I mean, I guess it'd be the same thing why I didn't talk about The Faculty. Is that more of a horror or a sci-fi? And I put it in the sci-fi category tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, if Alien counts, Ellen Ripley. I want Ellen Ripley. She survives multiple encounters with xenomorphs, like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. But from like a real, I guess like a more standard, what would be
Traditional
recognized as a
horror.
standard horror movie? Gosh, I don't know. I'll have to think. I mean, Laurie Strode. I mean, she. I mean, Halloween Ends. You saw Halloween Ends, right? Like how
Yeah,
that all plays
yeah,
out. I mean, she puts him in a meat grinder eventually, but
yeah.
yeah. So I don't
She's too
know.
unstable for me in later years. She's too unstable.
She's too unstable.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want Laurie Strode from Halloween Resurrection. That Laurie Strode, which that was ridiculous. But
No.
I'm trying to think of some other like just some other protagonists. That's a good question. I mean, Tommy Doyle, but I don't really know if I want Tommy Doyle by my side. Not Tommy Doyle. That's Halloween. From Friday the 13th. What's his name? The
Uh,
guy that's in.
I
He's in
never
like the
remember
first.
names.
Tommy Jarvis. That's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, is
Tommy
that
Jarvis.
okay? I just don't know any of the
Tommy
names.
Jarvis. Yeah. I don't know. Oh, actually, you know what? Yeah, I do. In The Thing, Kurt Russell. What's his
Oh,
character's name?
I don't know,
He's
but
good.
that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember his
Okay.
name. Why can't I remember his name? I'm gonna
I
look it
don't
up.
know.
While you tell me who your protagonist would be, I'm gonna look this up.
Nancy from A Nightmare on Elm Street. That girl is resourceful. Are you kidding me? She comes up
So,
with that whole plan to entrap Freddy and get him out of the dream and everything. She reads a whole little book on setting traps, and then she makes them.
so before I forget, it was McCready. That's his name in The Thing. But so, just remind me in the Friday the 13th series, is she in every movie of
Nightmare on
that?
Elm Street series.
That's what I meant. Nightmare on Elm
She's
Street. Is she
not.
in every?
She
She's
is
not.
in the first one. She is in Dream Warriors. And then I think the next time we see her is New Nightmare.
So, how many is she not in then? Is it like
Two and others, whatever other ones there are. I don't even know
right?
how many exactly there are. I tend to like the ones that she's in, but and and her boyfriend gets freaking garbage disposal gusher ground, and she's fine. Whatever. She moves on.
I'm trying
So
to remember. Is Johnny Depp in the first one? Is that who it
that's
is?
who gets
He gets pulled into
grounded.
the bed.
Yep. That's
Yeah,
Johnny Depp. That's
that's
Johnny Depp.
but that's not. I mean, they're not together in that movie, right? Like, I can't remember
Yeah.
the whole
That's her
thing. Oh,
boyfriend.
that's her boyfriend. That is her boyfriend.
That's her
Okay,
boyfriend.
okay,
Yeah. He's supposed to
yeah,
wake her
okay,
up. Wake
yeah.
Glenn. He's got to wake her up so that she can get Freddy, but he doesn't. Don't fall asleep. Oh, it's so good.
So again, a little bit of an aside, and I think we talked about this when we did our Jason X review. But Freddy versus Jason, you
That
love
is
it.
underrated because
That
that
is
is
underrated. I would
awesome.
agree with you. Yeah, that is an awesome movie. I just wanted to see. I figured we were on the same page with that, but
Yes.
yeah,
That movie is awesome. But you know who else I wouldn't mind teaming up with? Dewey.
Dewey, that's a good one.
And part of it's because that guy's always getting stabbed. So at least I know that if it's him and I'm coming out of this okay. Like,
So, I think we talked about this when we did our Scream 5 review. How did you feel about his departure
I
in the
thought his
audience?
death was a slap in the face. I don't mind that he's dead. I knew that was coming. I think Gail should be dead, but
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think the way
I
he
know I'm
died.
retreading old ground here, but
Yes,
yeah.
yes. But if I had to team up with someone to go against a bad guy, I'd either want Nancy or Dewey.
Okay, I'm going McCready, Lori, and or Ellen Ripley. That's what I'm going with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you had to face off against any horror villain, creature, bad guy, however you want to phrase it, because I assume you think you'd win, or you at least think you'd have a
Yeah.
chance.
Yeah. I'll tell you, man. I readily have an answer for this.
Okay.
Are you ready for it?
Yes.
Chucky.
Okay, I was gonna say Chucky because I'm always like, he's 2 feet tall. Kick him in the head.
This is what drives me crazy about these movies. Like, and I love the Child's Play movies. Like, I think they're
Yes,
great ideas for horror
yes.
movies. But like, pick him up and kick him. Like, kick him. Rip him in half.
He's
Like,
a
you know, like
freaking elf. But here's what I will say on why I don't ultimately pick Chucky. Because Chucky is crazy and he is inventive and he will find ways to slash your Achilles and maim you horribly. And especially in the later Chucky movies, he's real evil. So I don't think I'd want to face up because if he got away from me, if he scurried away, I completely believe he set up a bunch of knives somewhere to shoot at me when I'm not looking. So
would you rather face Chucky in that form or Charles Lee Ray in human form?
I'd probably honestly rather face Charles Lee Ray. Just shoot him with a gun.
Right, right. But
'Cause you
before
can't
he
shoot Chucky
transforms his
until he's
soul
turning
into
into human.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah.
But actually, I would face Ghostface.
Because he's just a normal dude or she, I mean, whatever.
Doesn't
Like,
matter,
yeah,
whoever it is,
yeah.
probably somebody I know. And so,
Are you-
so that it's like, yeah, like that's the issue. People just shoot. They are a human being.
well,
Just
this
shoot
is
them.
so.
And
I
take
know
off the damn mask. You knock
I
them out.
mentioned this like a billion times when we're reviewing these movies, but like, why does he trip over everything on the planet
Right?
Earth?
I feel pretty
Like, I
okay.
don't, you
I'm a
know,
pretty balanced person. Okay. I'm nimble. I'm agile. I feel good that I could take
yeah.
Ghostface. He's got a knife. I've got many things I can throw at him.
So that's a good option. Actually, okay. So I just thought of another horror movie that's got a villain that I feel like would be pretty easy to take out because this person is just a human. So have you ever seen Cape Fear with Robert
Yeah.
De Niro?
Yeah. Yeah. We were
They
talking
were
about
talking
that.
about that. Like, I mean, he's a crazy guy, and like obviously
Yeah.
within the confines of that movie, like you just can't go kill the guy, but like there's nothing supernatural about him. Like he's not
Yes.
gonna, that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
would you consider that a horror movie or no?
See, and it's been a long time since I've seen that movie, so it's listed as a horror movie. When I was looking up like the IMDb's 101 scariest movies, it's on there. So
Is
it's
it? Yeah.
yeah, it's clearly considered a horror movie. I just don't remember it enough to
Okay.
say.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
basically
Anyway,
anybody human.
right. Which and so that gets into a whole conversation about Halloween and everything after the first film, right? Because the first film, he's basically human, but then is he? Because he gets up after being
And
shot
that's
like
where
three
I'm like,
times.
no, he's not. Because I thought about that. Like, oh, what about Michael Myers? He's walking around. I could run. I go on the
Yeah.
treadmill. Like, I can take off. And so, but I'm like, but I don't think he was ever human.
Right.
I don't
Right.
think he
That's
was
and I think you're
born
right. I mean,
human.
even though I don't know, because again, at Halloween ends when they get him pinned down, she's like, "You were just a guy," and she like bleeds him out and then puts him in a meat grinder. So but like, but see that's what killed me between kills and ends is like they were building toward this idea of like we're going to explain why he can't be killed, but then they never did
Yeah.
really. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's a whole tangent.
Yeah.
Watch my Halloween ends review if you want to see what I thought about that. So anyway,
Yeah. So I would face off against you. I did think about Chucky, but he's a pretty manipulative, scary guy.
yeah.
He wants
It's
to
just,
be.
I mean, those movies, I mean, they're horror comedies mostly, but like, yeah, I mean, anybody that's 2 feet tall, like you were saying, I mean, like, I totally get it. He's cunning and he's
Yes.
kind of not indestructible, but kind of, but like, eventually a toddler takes him out, or however old Andy is, not a toddler, but like a little kid
Yeah.
takes him
Yeah.
out, I don't know, but
Oh, what
yeah.
does he say to him at the very end? But Andy, you're my friend. This is the end,
Yeah.
friend. The end.
He burns him.
This
Yeah.
is friend. Can't wait to show Owen that movie someday.
Yeah. Have you watched the show on Sci-Fi Channel?
Not yet. I was going to start, and then I didn't.
I watched the first 3 or 4 episodes, and it was really good. I just haven't
That's what
finished
I
it.
heard. One of my students told me
Yeah,
that, and I just
it's
never,
good.
never
Yeah,
got around to it. But I
yeah.
will. But those were my questions.
Okay, I'm gonna start naming movies.
Go
There's no
for
rhyme or reason here, Kim.
it.
This is just what I've got here.
Bonus
Okay.
round.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll name these movies, and you tell me what you think about them. And one that I actually don't have written down here is The Descent. Have you ever seen The Descent?
I did see The Descent, and I remember being creeped out by it. Like it was scary
Yeah,
because it's dark and you don't know what's going on. But I mean, other than that, it was like okay.
I thought it was good, but I could see it is kind of abstract at times.
Yeah.
So what about Jaws? Is that a horror movie?
Yes. And you know
Okay,
what's
so
funny? I don't know why Owen does this in his brain. We've talked about Jaws. He knows of the movie Jaws. He just knows he can't see the movie Jaws yet. So every
okay.
time I go to the gym, I'm like, hey, buddy, what should I watch at the gym today? He's like, you should watch Jaws.
At
Every
the
time.
gym.
Every
Yeah.
time. I'm like, well, I think I'll watch something else. And I told him, I was like, there's a new shark movie coming out.
Which one is that?
Remember the one, what is it, Black? What
Oh,
is it?
yeah, I know what you're doing. Yeah, like Black
Yes.
Shadow or something. I
Yes,
can't
something
remember what
like
it was
that.
called.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I love Jaws, and that's why I'm really excited to go to Cape Cod this summer. That's the plan, is because they've got a bunch of shark stuff there, and so
Yeah.
it'll be fun.
Well, yeah, that actually is in my top 5 movies ever made. I think Jaws is just I think overall it's just an amazing
Have you read
movie.
the book?
No, I have not read the book.
You should read the
Have you?
book. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
very
I
different.
need to. Okay,
Very
what else do I
different.
got here? Oh, Signs. I like Signs a lot.
Like Signs, definitely.
I think that's a
See,
great
now,
movie.
would you consider that a horror, or would you consider that a sci-fi?
They're being stalked by malevolent creatures who just happen to be from space, from a different planet. So I
Isn't
don't know
that
if
the
it
premise of
matters.
every single sci-fi movie?
But so does it? But I mean, does that make it sci-fi that they're not from Earth? I mean, I guess it does, right?
I don't
I don't
know.
know. I don't know.
I
So,
guess.
so
I
my
don't know.
understanding of science fiction is that it is if you take the scientific element out of it, the movie falls apart. So I guess so because they wouldn't be on Earth if they didn't have the means to get there.
Yes,
If that makes sense. Yeah.
it does. It makes sense to
Anyway.
me.
Okay. Anyway.
Yes.
So I like Signs a lot, but yeah, you're right. I mean, it has some horrific stuff in it or horror-esque
It
stuff,
got
but
some
it's
scares, yeah.
yeah, for sure. Let the Right One In. Love that movie. Have you ever seen that movie?
Oh, there's 2. There's like a
I'm
English
thinking of
version.
the original, the Swedish one.
I can't remember which one I saw, to be honest. It was a long time ago.
I think from what I remember, the American version is pretty good, but the original was just I remember seeing it thinking like this is a really great horror movie. Like it's
Whichever
just
one I
really
saw, I
good.
really liked. I just don't remember
Okay.
which one it was.
Um I think we talked about most of the other ones I've got here actually already. Yeah, that's it. Do you have random movies to just shout out, Kim?
I do, but hold on. So, in my DVD case of
Excellent.
movies.
You got to have a DVD case.
All right, Attic Expeditions.
I've never heard of that.
Yep. Okay. It's really, really weird, but it's got Seth Green. Sleepaway Camp. We didn't talk about Sleepaway Camp. You
I
haven't
have not
that
seen
still.
Sleepaway Camp.
You got to see Sleepaway Camp.
Okay. Was that a
I
70s,
know.
70s era movie?
Yes. I know I
Okay.
told you to see Stay Alive. That's about the video game.
Have not seen that one either.
I think we've talked about Demon Knight.
Yes, I did like that one.
Love Demon Knight. Malibu's Most Wanted. Oh, that's not a horror movie.
Wait a second. What is that?
It's Jamie Kennedy. He's a white guy who they have to try to scare white because he tries to act gangster. I love that movie.
It sounds like an amazing piece of cinema.
It is. Child's Play we talked about. Murder
Yep.
by Numbers. That's what I watched the other day to fall asleep. Okay. Murder by Numbers. One. That's a good one. Sandra Bullock, Ryan Gosling.
Okay.
It's good. I don't know if I would call it a horror, but it's good. House of Wax.
Yes, that was so here's the thing with that. Like, do I think it's a good movie? No. Do I think it's entertaining? Yes.
It's
like
fun.
That's the one with Paris Hilton, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And Chad Michael Murray.
Do you have to say it like that? Chad Michael Murray? Like I gotta do
the cute.
Yeah.
From Hell.
Yes, that's a good one. Jack the Ripper.
I remember watching that for the first time with my dad. That was awkward. There's prostitutes and sex, and I was like,
I don't remember. I mean, I've seen it. I just don't remember a ton about it. I remember I liked it, but
yes, it was very good. Let's see what other old. Oh, Session 9.
I have heard of that, but
it's an odd one. It's an odd one. It was creepy. I remember watching. It was like one of those B horror movies my friend and I rented way back in the day, and it was good. Would you consider The Craft a horror movie?
Never seen it.
That movie changed my life.
Did it really?
Yeah. Night of the Living Dead.
Yep.
That's probably the first horror movie I ever saw.
I don't. That's a great question. I don't remember what the first horror movie I ever saw was.
I think that was really the first one. They're coming for you, Barbara. Stop it, Johnny.
I think for me, it had to have been one of the Friday the 13th movies on like basic cable. I mean, that had to have been what it was, probably. So even I probably saw like half the movie, but I can't see that. What does it say?
House of a Thousand Corpses.
You know what? I have not seen that. That's a Rob Zombie movie, right?
You should see it. I like Rob Zombie movies. The Devil's Rejects, those are good.
This is where we might disagree. I think he is not a good director. That's my opinion. I've seen some of his stuff, but I just don't think he's a very good. I don't know. I just think he's not good behind the camera. Like I don't know.
I don't disagree with you. I like Rob Zombie movies because they are extra. And
so speaking of Rob Zombie movies, as much as I love Halloween, I've never seen the 2 Rob Zombie ones.
You have not?
Because I was like, I refuse to. Like, I don't like him as a director, and I don't want to see a remake of Halloween. So, should I? I mean, I don't know. Like,
no, I don't think you necessarily should. And here's why. In my opinion, they're not remakes because he makes some choices that drastically change the story.
Okay.
And the sequel is not even at all what the Halloween original sequel was at all.
From what I've heard, people like some stuff in the original, but generally do not like the sequel. I don't know if that was your response.
No, the sequel is not great. I like the original because I do like Rob Zombie, but I don't even consider it a remake of.
Okay, well, maybe one day. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it at some point.
The Hamiltons. It's about this family that eats people.
was like, isn't that a musical?
Hamilton is a
I know
musical.
I'm joking. Erica loves Hamilton, so I'm just putting that out there. Yeah.
Oh, I know what you did last summer.
I have seen it, but it has been ages. Like, I don't remember hardly anything about that
Oh,
movie.
I love that. And I really like the sequel too.
I was about to say, weren't there two? There were two.
I
Yeah.
still know what you did last summer with Brandy and Jack Black. Heck yeah. I like that movie.
They should make
30
a
Days
third
of
one
Night.
called Guess What? I Still Know What You Did
It's
Last
called I
Summer. All right,
Always Know What You Did Last Summer.
is that what the third one is?
30 Days of Night.
That's an awesome movie. I like that movie. That's a really
That's a
good
good
one.
one.
The premise for that is really smart, but
Strangeland.
have not seen that one.
So this is one of those movies, again, that my friend Jen and I would rent in like 8th grade. Her dad wasn't really paying attention to what we were doing, and we like would rent these B horror movies and go back and watch them. That is a disturbing movie about like a pedophile guy, like a rapist who like kidnaps people and then gets like rehabilitated, but not. And there's Robert Englund is in it, and there's a lot about like goth hardcore culture and piercing and body modification. It's very odd.
That's like that movie that I was telling you about that I kind of want to see, but also kind of don't. Crimes of the Future. That one.
Okay.
That David Cronenberg movie. It's apparently a body horror thing, but like I don't know.
Did you ever see The Rage Carrie 2?
No, no.
I liked it.
Was it good?
Yes, I liked it.
So I mean, how long was this after the original Carrie?
It was a while, and the premise is so the friend from the original Carrie who survives everything. She is the high school counselor in this one, and notices that this girl seems to have similar abilities and finds out that there's a connection and kind of it, all that. But I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I will say.
I've not seen it.
Vacancy?
That one sounds familiar. I think I have seen it. Was that like a mid 2000s?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I probably only ever saw it once and then got it on sale at FYE, one of those mall random trips in high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what nice. Why did The Frighteners. The Frighteners.
That's a good one. Oh, that reminded me of another movie. The Frighteners is good. It's been that was Michael J. Fox, right? That's been a long time.
I love Michael J. Fox.
Did you ever see Fright Night, like the original Fright Night?
Yes. Oh my god,
that movie. I love that movie.
I love Fright Night. I was just telling Matt we have to watch that again.
Actually, I think the remake is not too bad. Also,
did you see that one? I did not see the remake.
Colin Farrell, like it's not as good as the original, but it's also.
I don't really like Colin Farrell.
You don't like Colin Farrell? Okay. Well, then you might not like it, but yeah, it's set in Las Vegas too, which is totally different. But anyway, yeah.
Okay. What's that? Oh, The Lost Boys.
Love that one. Actually, while you're saying that, look, I'm going to show you something you'll really appreciate. Hang on one second.
And Child's Play 2.
Child's Play 2. Look, I picked this up not super long ago. My David Funko Pop from Lost Boys.
Looks just like him.
Yeah, and he's got the box of Chinese noodles, like the noodles and everything,
Yes.
What's wrong? What's wrong, Michael? It's noodles. Yeah, I love that movie.
And then I have not gone through my other 2 cases of DVDs. That's just my 1 case, but I have 2.
We should see. This is a whole other thing. Like we should just sit and go through our movies and just talk about them and actually, a movie I just reviewed that I'm gonna sell soon is Kill Her Ghost because it is garbage. Like it is terrible. Did you watch my review of that? I don't
think I even saw that you posted it.
Yeah, it's not. That's all I can say about it. Literally, it's a movie that's 2 hours, maybe a little short of 2 hours long, of women drinking wine and talking and breaking wine glasses, then getting more wine, and then Kane Hodder shows up at the end as Goatface for about 5 minutes, and that's the end of the movie. Like it is one of the worst things I've ever seen. Anyway, don't watch Kill Her Ghost. I have the 4K Steelbook because for some reason I bought it, but I'm going to sell it and not look back. So anyway,
you should definitely rid that from your space. Yes.
Yeah. It's not great. So
if there are any others.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any other horror movies too that I just like downright love. Like if I see it on TV, like I'm going to stop and watch it. I think I've covered most of the big ones. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think we probably named, and we've talked about Evil Dead recently because there was a whole list that I was looking at on IMDb.
And that reminds me. So I think at this point, are you going to wait and see Evil Dead Rise when it comes out like on streaming or?
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm going to do too. So we can review it then maybe.
I'm not going to see it in theaters.
But what was there something else we were gonna watch and talk about after this? I can't remember if we had anything else on our agenda or not.
We were gonna find something about a serial killer mom, and then we talked about the rise of the Evil Dead person. I thought there was another, but now I can't
Yeah, I
remember.
thought there was too, but I can't remember what it would have been. Is there a holiday coming up? Is there a Memorial Day horror movie? I can't think of anything this upcoming that we could. I don't know.
And there's Father's Day. We could watch Stepfather. I watched that recently,
I've
actually.
never seen that.
I
Should I
watched the
watch it?
reboot.
Is it
I don't mind it.
okay?
It's okay.
Is it worth watching and talking about or not really?
No.
Okay, okay. We'll think of another movie that we can watch and
Yes. I'm
discuss
trying to like
soon.
see like what are the holidays and all that.
The July
Father's
4th horror
Day,
movie.
July 4th. I mean, we
I don't
kind of
know.
there's just no holidays for a while.
I need to look, and I mean, I'm sure there are horror movies being released soon that I'm just not thinking about.
I
But
feel like I saw a couple. Oh, there's like one that just came out on Hulu called Clock that's about like having babies and stuff. Which I find terrifying. So maybe that's why I was
it's
particularly.
called Clock, and it's about having baby. It's just
It's like called Clock, and it's about a woman's biological clock. It might be a little more sci-fi thriller because I think there's
okay.
supposed to be something that goes on with her and trying to have a kid or something. I don't know. But I do feel like I've seen a couple listed on Hulu recently, and I was like, "Oh, I could watch that." But then
Well, I
I
still have my subscription to Shudder, so
oh,
if there's
yeah.
anything, do you? I think you do. You have the login
I have
information
the
for it?
login. I haven't looked at it
Yeah,
though.
we can find something on there, I'm sure, and watch
That's
it.
true.
And yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Well, and I have to say before we conclude, Kimberly just had a staged reading of Office Hours, and it was
Oh,
awesome. It was awesome. You did a
thank
great
you.
job with it, Kim. It was
Mhm.
great. So yeah, I just had to brag because
Well,
it
my
was great.
next one will kind of be a horror play, so we'll see how
Yeah,
that goes. So,
awesome.
yeah.
Well, we'll find something on Shutter. We'll be back soon. This was fun. I'm sure I'll think of other horror movies after the fact,
I
but
know,
this
right?
was
I'm like, "Oh, yeah, we forgot to talk
yeah,
about this one." Yeah.
yeah. Leprechaun. No, I'm just kidding. We already went through that.
We didn't talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre at all.
I've seen the original, and I saw. Didn't they just come out with one like a few years ago?
Yeah, we watched it because we
Yeah, we
didn't like
watched it.
it.
Should we watch it? Should we watch it again and review it? Probably not. I don't know.
No, I don't wanna watch it again. I would watch
Yeah,
one of the more original ones and we talk about those. And there's a lot like Wrong Turn, and
and there's a lot of those.
there's a
Yeah,
lot of those movies of like traveling out in the desert in the Midwest and running into like, the inbred
right,
mountain men
right.
and
Yeah, yeah.
all of
Always
that.
a sure bet. Um,
Always. Yeah.
anyway, Kim, it was fun. We'll think of a movie. We'll be
Yes.
back soon. Yeah, thanks for watching.